It's still in there.
Yeah, you see that?
Coin.
That nice and round shape? Please, please, please be a coin. Oh.
Morning fog settles over the coast of Nova Scotia as machinery hums in the damp air.
Oh, something. Yeah, that's nice.
A worker's detector beeps sharply. Another find, another mystery. This is Oak Island, a place where every discovery seems to raise more questions than answers.
Right there. Oh my God, look at that.
For over 2 centuries, diggers have come here chasing stories of hidden gold, pirate treasure, or ancient relics. But some believe the secret that sleeps beneath the island connects far beyond Canada, to the Freemasons and even to the Knights Templar.
This might be a clue that there's a link between Templar and Viking technology.
And today, the Lagina brothers lead the latest search to finally uncover the truth. In 1795, 3 young explorers uncovered a strange depression in Oak Island's woods. They dug and hit layers of stone and oak planks placed at perfect intervals. It looked man-made, an engineering feat that became the legendary Money Pit. Each new team that tried to dig deeper found flood tunnels that filled the shaft with seawater. The booby-trapped pit defeated centuries of treasure hunters and claimed several lives, earning its cursed reputation. Still, strange finds, carved stones, bits of parchment, and symbols suggested something purposeful lay below. Who would build such a complex trap in the 1700s, and why? Over time, theories pointed to something deeper than treasure. Near the Money Pit, carved stones and markings appeared, some resembling the square and compass of Freemasonry. Others hinted at ties to the Knights Templar, the medieval order rumored to have hidden sacred relics after their downfall. Researchers noticed that the major points on Oak Island, the Money Pit, Nolan's Cross, and Smith's Cove, align in geometric patterns matching Masonic design principles. Some believe these shapes hide a coded message preserved for centuries. Artifacts recovered on the island blur history itself. A hand-forged cross similar to Templar relics, fragments of old parchment, and wood dated to before the first English colonies. Could a secret order have buried something more valuable than gold? Knowledge meant to be protected, not found? Centuries later, Rick and Marty Lagina reignited the mystery. Fascinated since childhood, they returned with advanced technology, radar scans, core drilling, even underwater exploration. Through their televised investigation, the world watched as science met legend. Their team uncovered oak timbers, traces of gold deep in clay, and metal fragments shaped by human hands. Yet every clue seemed to lead to another puzzle: collapsed tunnels, unexplained floods, and signals buried deeper still. The island seemed alive, guarding its truth. Many now suspect Oak Island was designed not to hide material wealth, but to preserve knowledge. The geometry, symbols, and traps suggest intention, perhaps part of a secret tradition linking the old world to the new. Maybe what waits below isn't treasure at all, but a message about perseverance, unity, or enlightenment. For Rick Lagina, that's the real reward. Standing at sunset by the swamp, he reflects that the search itself might be the treasure, the human drive to seek the unknown. And perhaps that's exactly what the builders intended all along. Rick was the believer, calm, thoughtful, always chasing the historical through line. Marty, an engineer and entrepreneur, was more grounded, the voice of logic amid the swirl of legend. Together, they pooled resources and bought a controlling interest in the island in 2006. Their goal wasn't simply fortune. They wanted truth, proof of who had built the Money Pit and why so many strange symbols and seals kept appearing there. But Oak Island has a habit of humbling those who take it on. When their search began in earnest, the brothers joined forces with local experts and a team of drill operators, geologists, and historians. They formed what became known as the Oak Island Fellowship. Cameras followed their progress, capturing every moment of discovery and every setback. Through the History Channel's long-running series, millions watched as modern science collided with ancient mystery. For the first time, high-definition scanning, seismic testing, and ground-penetrating radar brought unparalleled insight to the dig. Yet the more precise the search became, the deeper the puzzle grew. Early on, the Lagina team uncovered fragments that seemed almost impossible. A sliver of parchment, retrieved nearly 200 feet below ground, appeared to contain faint traces of ink. Letters written with quill and iron gall. Some experts suggested it could have been part of a document sealed centuries ago. Then came a piece of hand-forged metal shaped like a cross, its design eerily similar to Templar insignias from the 14th century. Radiocarbon testing on wooden timbers placed them in the era between 1570 and 1600, decades before the island appeared on any reliable settlement map. Each object raised the same unsettling question: who built this place, and how far back do its roots actually go? But just like the earlier explorers, modern diggers face sabotage from the island itself. Flooding tunnels collapsed without warning, pumps shorted out in mud thick with seawater, metallic detectors pinged erratically, confused by groundwater mineral composition. Some days it felt as though Oak Island didn't want to give up its secrets. Even with robotics and sonar imaging, locating the original money pit proved nearly impossible. Its structure distorted and destroyed over centuries of misguided excavation. The deeper they went, the less they seemed to understand. Still, hope endured. Advances in 3D mapping created visual models of underground voids stretching hundreds of feet. Some resembled chambers. Others formed geometric clusters that echoed patterns found on the island's surface. To believers, this was confirmation of design, a deliberate blueprint connecting every feature from the swamp to Smith's Cove. For skeptics, it was coincidence, natural geology twisted by centuries of interference. Both sides agreed on one thing: the truth was buried deep, and it would take more than technology alone to unearth it. Across their seasons of searching, the Laginas formed partnerships with historians from across North America. French, Spanish, and Portuguese archives were combed for old sea charts or expedition logs that might reference Nova Scotia's hidden islands. Researchers compared Oak Island's subterranean formations to European mining methods of the medieval and early modern eras. Patterns emerged suggesting more hands shaped this terrain than anyone realized, possibly teams trained in the engineering methods of Old World builders. But connecting those traces to one organization remained speculation, not proof. The brothers' greatest discovery might not have been material at all, but psychological. They began to notice how every supposed answer led to more questions, and how that cycle mirrored human obsession with the unknown. Rick called it the chase for meaning as much as treasure. After all, Oak Island had devoured fortunes, claimed lives, and yet still compelled diggers to return. What drove rational people to risk everything on such unlikely odds? Maybe the island's greatest power wasn't what it contained, but what it represented: the enduring human hunger for hidden truth. Then came the moment that shifted the focus once more. During a core drilling operation near the money pit, the team pulled up samples containing gold traces within the clay. Tiny, almost invisible, but present. Laboratory tests verified the particles were of historical purity, possibly centuries old. It wasn't enough to prove treasure, but enough to reignite belief. Suddenly, old legends didn't seem so far-fetched. Yet even as hope swelled, Rick reminded the team, maybe the real purpose of Oak Island was never to be solved. It was an idea that hinted at something bigger, something purposefully elusive, an ancient design that hides meaning, not material. And that thought would carry the story into its most philosophical phase. The more evidence the Laginas gathered, the clearer it became that Oak Island might be guarding something other than gold. Patterns in the layout, tunnels, and symbols all seemed to point toward one idea: deliberate preservation, as if generations of builders had been trying to safeguard knowledge rather than wealth. Some researchers started calling this the archive theory, the notion that what's buried beneath Oak Island could be a vault for ancient documents, maps, or sacred relics whose value lies not in metal, but in message. If the Templars, or later Freemasons, truly hid something there, what might it be? Some believe it could involve esoteric teachings, the kind that merge science, religion, and mathematics into a unified worldview. Others think it might relate to lost historical records from early Christianity or pre-Columbian exploration. The engineering of the money pit itself supports the concept of protection over profit. It's defensive, full of traps and flood tunnels designed to discourage intrusion. That level of effort makes sense if what's buried carries ideological or spiritual importance, not just financial worth. This idea aligns with another observation. Each major discovery on the island exposes fragments of high-level craftsmanship, a kind of encoded art of building. The tunnel's geometry mirrors ancient ratios found in cathedrals associated with sacred architecture. Several stones unearthed in recent digs bear inscriptions that resemble alchemical symbols for transformation and enlightenment. Even if later hoaxes played a part, the consistency of these motifs is striking. Perhaps the builders were expressing an eternal idea, that true treasure lies in wisdom preserved through time. For some historians, the parallels to early America are hard to ignore. Many of the founding fathers, steeped in Masonic thought, built Washington, D.C. using geometric patterns designed to reflect harmony and knowledge. It's possible that such traditions sprang from whispered legends of older repositories, hidden places rumored to hold the wisdom of ages past. If so, Oak Island might have been both symbol and source, a physical manifestation of ancient secrecy that later generations tried to emulate in new nations. Yet no excavation has ever produced definitive proof of what that knowledge might be. Instead, the island continues to respond like a riddle, offering hints one moment and sealing new mysteries the next. Water seeps into cleared shafts. Artifacts appear where none should exist. A single metallic sound deep underground can pause an entire season. The pattern feels almost intentional, as if the place were designed to delay understanding until its seekers reach the right state of mind. Some locals even suggest the treasure reveals itself only to those who approach it with pure intent, a legend blending folklore with philosophy. As public fascination evolved, Oak Island became more than a geographic site. It turned into a cultural mirror, reflecting humanity's search for meaning. Scholars publish papers, engineers build models, tourists arrive by the thousands, and still the central question remains unanswered. Maybe that's the point. Perhaps the treasure exists precisely because it hasn't been found. Its mystery sustains curiosity, connection, and hope, qualities that outlast any chest of coins. Among those who've spent their lives studying it, a quiet consensus has emerged. Oak Island's legacy isn't what rests below, but what it inspires above. The engineers who design new tools to explore it, the historians who decode its symbols, the dreamers who feel kinship with its unknown builders. These are its inheritors. Every failed dig, every misread clue forms part of a centuries-long conversation between the past and the present. Towards sunset on the island, when the machinery goes silent and the tide creeps back across the causeway, you can almost feel that connection. The air seems heavier, charged with all the voices that came before. For Rick Lagina, standing near the swamp edge, the reflection is simple. Maybe the search itself is the treasure, the endless act of seeking that keeps knowledge alive. The real value of Oak Island lies not in what might be buried there, but in the unwavering spirit that refuses to stop looking. And perhaps that is exactly what those who built it intended us to find. The dig continues. Each season, the Laginas return to Oak Island with new expertise, new technology, and the same unshaken drive. What they find are pieces, wooden fragments, metal shards, whispers of maps and codes, but never the final truth. Every clue deepens the uncertainty, yet no discovery feels wasted. The search itself has become a living tradition, passed from one generation of seekers to the next. Locals speak of the island as though it breathes, luring minds that believe history still hides in its soil. Historians argue, skeptics analyze, believers hope. And when machines shut down at dusk, the quiet tide smooths over another day's efforts, concealing once more what may sleep below. That rhythm, work, failure, rediscovery, has outlasted empires and will likely outlast us. For some, Oak Island represents obsession. For others, faith and perseverance. Maybe its power lies in proving that mystery itself has value, that not every secret is meant to end with certainty. Those wooden planks and flooded tunnels mirror something inside us, a need to understand, even when the answer stays buried. Somewhere beneath the Nova Scotia wind, tools still hum, scanners still blink, and hope refuses to fade. If you want to explore more of the forgotten stories and hidden societies that shaped early America, watch our next investigation, and don't forget to subscribe and like for more unfinished legends.